Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. It is me, Bo, the POET. They forget who I was. Yeah, back with another edition of Mind Your Thoughts. Someone wants your mind, you know? And there's so much going on in the world today, and it's easy to see, how they are trying to affect your mind. Um, you have one side that's telling you, no, they're saying this, and the other side that is telling you, no, they're saying this, and you're sitting in the middle choosing a side. Why? I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Because you need to be careful. Because a lot of times, you know, you may say someone is your enemy, but they're God's friend. And when I say God, I'm however you want to say it, if you want to say Jesus or the God in the sky or the universe or Allah or whatever name you want to give it, God. We just gonna keep it, simple. I remember a friend of mine, I was saying, I was I was correcting him, not really correcting him, but I'm like, I'm saying these things to him because you're my friend, and I want you to know these things, and I want you to know this is how I operate. And he said, "Well, man, I know what you know what I mean. No, I don't know what you mean. I know what you're saying. Well, I know better. Okay, well, if you know better, then say better. You can't assume, because then you're gonna regress. Either you're progressing or you're regressing. You can't, it ain't no stand still. You know what I'm saying? We are energy, and energy is always in motion. So you got to realize that. So when you know better, you say, don't assume that I know that you know. Continuously letting me know that you know by standing on that, and I stand on what I say, and he asked me, well, how are you going to communicate with people? I don't have to. It's not, listen, me communicating with you is not on my top 10 list. You understand? I do this because, it gives me relief. You know what I'm saying? I'm prepared to do this. Something inside me is pushing me. It's like, go ahead and talk and say and tell and then leave it alone. That's why I don't come back. That's why I don't worry about comments. That's why I don't care about none of that other stuff. I'm just saying this stuff because it's on my mind. You know what I'm saying? And I see a lot of things. That be going on, and I don't say nothing. Sometimes I be wanting to say something that like, nah, leave that alone. You know what I'm saying? But if you know anything about this program, it's called Mind Your Thoughts. Someone wants your mind, and the easiest way to get your mind is if number one, attack your emotions, and number two, continuously attack your emotions to keep you confused, going back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever seen a fighter? You know what I'm saying? He won't go down, but he can't swing, but he won't go down, so they call that punch drunk. You know what I'm saying? He just keep getting hit, pop, pop, but he won't go down. But he ain't throwing nothing back. You know what I'm saying? That's like, a lot of people out there and stuff, and they throwing back, they throwing sandbags, you know what I'm saying, on a hurricane. But they're not throwing the whole bag. They're taking the sand out the bag and throwing it up in the hurricane, and they think it's gonna slow the wind down. Yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? Even if you put up the bags, see, because sometimes the wind is way greater than what you think it is. Sometimes those or him who you say is your enemy is God's friend. You don't believe that? Okay, so we're gonna go, and I pointed this out to a couple of people before I told them about it, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna do a video about that one day. So I guess today is the day we're gonna do the video. You know what I'm saying? Who is your enemy? See, we have people that are demanding people to choose a side based on the appearance of another person. So if a person looks like me, I'm supposed to automatically go along and get along with everything that they say, even though that might not be what I really feel. You see, in this day and time, there's no room for a little bit, some, just a smidget. Ain't no room for that. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't on principle, if you ain't on morals, we ain't on the same team. You know? See, you might not like this side, but you with the other side, you know what I'm saying? And neither side is really standing on principles and morals. You know? And you think I'm on one of their sides. I ain't on neither one of their sides. You know what I'm saying? I ain't for the black, I ain't for the white. I ain't for the Democrat, I ain't for the Republican. You know, I'm not for none of them. I'm not for none of that. You know what I'm saying? Because all of that is constructs. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? It's to keep you to choose a side and to voice your opinion and to stand up against the other side. You're not standing up for anything. You're standing against something. You know? See, you got to find out who your friend, you know, or who is your enemy. Because if you can point your enemy out, then it's easy to see who the friends is. Because if you say all of these are the enemies, then ain't nobody left but you. So you got to be the friend. You know? See, even if you walk alone, it's better to walk alone, you know what I'm saying, in your own convictions, based upon your morals and your principles, than to choose a side. Because, well, they got this much and they only got this much. You know, that's like that old saying, you know, the lesser of two evils. You know, y'all went for that one. They killed me with that one and stuff. I never could understand that. I want to know, though, I just got a quick question to ask to the black community, you know, the so-called black community, you know, because, you know, the thing that was going on, and I think it's probably still going on with, what his name, Stephen A. Smith, and, you know, he called out the girl from Texas, the United States representative, and, you know, I couldn't find a thing wrong with what he was saying, you know, but it was a whole lot of people that was, you know, upset, you know, about him saying, and like he really like, what did he say, you know, and you know, and then I realized something. I realized that there's a divide, you know, and I don't know where it's at. I think it's between the 40s and 45, the people, that age there right now, 45, you know, maybe all the way up to 50, maybe even, you know, some of them, not all of them, you know, and not all on the other side neither, going down in the age category. But there's a divide, you know, in the rearing of how, like, because see, I'm over 45, you know, well over 45. And, you know, I was raised, and then I was raised by my grandparents. So they was a couple generations back. So they was raising me like they was raised, you know. So I missed that, you know, because there's a generation that came, you know, from so-called black people, and they said, I ain't gonna raise my kids the way I was raised. And when you think about that, see, a lot of times we say things, but we don't think about what we're saying, you know, because my brothers, you know, he said, yeah, man, I hear people say that, and I look at him and I say, well, what's wrong with you? If you don't want to raise your children the way you was raised, then what's wrong with you? You all right? The way you was raised made you what you was. So you think that if you don't do the things that hurt you, you know, because see, we had a generation, they went to college and they start telling them, oh, you're suffering from trauma. You have PTSD, you know, post-traumatic slave disorder. You ain't never, listen, ain't nobody living right now, ain't nobody living in the last 30, 40 years was a slave. So how you going to have a disorder of something that you never been? It's generational. It's in the genes. Boy, they can tell y'all anything. it's a generational curse and stuff, Yeah, we gotta build listen, listen. Y'all don't even know the beginning of how to build anything. That's why you ain't got shit. Black people as a whole, look who you pick as your leaders. Show me somebody from any of the fields, pick them, religion, politics, finance, any field you want to, and show me somebody who is showing black people how to build without charging them, without pulling from the same system that they say is racist. Show me. You know what I'm saying? Ain't none. You know what I'm saying? And the ones that have that had the capability, you know what I'm saying? When they got rid of them, you took the mediocre second place. Because to me, the black community has settled for mediocrity. And now they look at mediocrity as excellence. Listen, if I, I'm going to use myself as an example. And people that know me know, you know what I'm saying? People that know me know that what I'm about to say is 100% true. If you have me, elect me, and have me sitting in the seat to be the leader, it's not about me no more. It's not about what I like and what I don't like. It's about what is going to be best for the whole overall. So if I got to tell my friend some stuff that I know they ain't gonna like, I'ma do that. I'ma do that. And like I say, anybody that know me and that been around me when I was in positions, and they were like, man, you changed. No, I didn't. Well, I have to change. I got the position now. So I have to do the duties of the position. My position is, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? But it's not about me. When somebody is elected to a position, they are elected to represent the people, not themselves. They're not supposed to tell the people what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to listen to the people and take the people's feelings. Don't tell the people how they supposed to feel. That ain't no leader. That's a warlord. That's a dictator. But again, black people done settled for mediocrity. Mediocrity has become excellence. That's why they was saying all that stuff about Stephen A. And then Stephen A., being the politician that he wants to be, he came back. He came back, and said, oh, I get it now. I see. It could be used against you. Listen, bruh, if you want to be a politician, if you want to be a leader, you got to call it like you see it, and you got to stand on that. You know what I'm saying? You got to stand on that. Don't say it and then bring it back like, oh, I see, because somebody's going to use it against. They already using it against you. You know what I'm saying? Now you using it against your own damn self. It's just ignorance upon ignorance. People are looking at opportunities. They think they seeing opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Because they keep y'all emotional. And as long as they keep you emotional, you know what I'm saying, then they got you. Because when you allow your emotions to get in front of your intellect, you can't think. Nobody that's in their feelings, it don't matter. Listen, think about this. You watching the game, right? And your team just scored. And you jump up and knock all the stuff all over because you excited. You wasn't thinking, See, it don't have to be that they hurt your feelings. It could be exciting. It could be jealousy. It could be anger. It could be fear. It could be joy or happiness. Any emotion that you are allowing to lead you is a detriment to you. You cannot think while you are emotional. When you in your feelings, you don't think. You know, go and visit some brothers and sisters in prison who committed crimes, who did things while they was emotional, and talk to them. And listen to them tell you how, man, I just got mad. I was just so angry. You know, or I was just so this. Always in your feelings. Gotta come up out your feelings, you know. And I kind of went off the topic I was gonna go to, and I kind of like to keep my things, you know, to a certain length of time and stuff, because I know people ain't got time. So we're gonna cut it off right here and stuff, and we're gonna come back, you know what I'm saying, with part 2 of Who is the Enemy? Peace and love. Remember, mind your thoughts. Someone wants your mind.